Hello, this is July 30th, 2022. Welcome to my memory recording. I'm thinking about when I was first born all the way up to the present day, some of the things that have occurred in my life. One of the very first things I remember is being in, I think it was the baby carriage, and a neighbor lady came over to see the new baby, me. And she leaned over whatever I was in, and she made some comment about how cute I was. And it startled me because I was asleep and it woke me up. But that is a memory that I have just as clear as can be. So that was the beginning of my life. I was born in a maternity home, not a hospital, but this lady operated a maternity home in Afton, New York. And so there is where I went to have me, or where my mother went to have me. And my dad brought my big brother and probably my big sister up to see me, the new baby. And when my big brother looked at me, they tell me that he said, "Aw, ain't she cute? Let's take her home." I think there may have been days when he regretted that as time went on. But that was the beginning of my life. And then as I got bigger, I remember being at church and going up and down the aisle, and my father reaching out with his long arm and corralling me and picking me up and putting me on his lap. So that was a memory from that point. Let's see. And as I grew bigger, I had certain responsibilities that I was supposed to perform. We were all to be good helpers on the farm. All hands needed to be occupied. I had to feed the calves, take grain, water, and be sure they had hay, and watch over them. And to get to the calves' pen, I had to walk behind our huge big horses. Dad had one team, and it was a very large breed of horse. And I would start to go behind the horse to go into the room where the calves were. And the horse would very slowly stick his foot out behind him and block my path. I was scared to death. I didn't know what to do. Well, finally I got up my courage and I slapped him on the butt and I said, "Get up, Prince." And I was able to get through to do my work. But that was a worrisome thing every time. He was giving me problems. He was happy, I think, but I wasn't. So that's, besides that, let's see, I had to feed the chickens and I had to gather the eggs. And when I would go out in the chicken yard, we scatter the grain, the roosters would come after me, and they were mean. They would just come right toward me and pick my legs, and I would run like crazy to get away from them. I didn't like them. And my brother would stand outside the pen of chickens, and he just laughed. He thought it was funny. I didn't. So finally he came in the pen one day, and when the rooster started chasing him, he turned around and gave him a big kick that sent him sailing. I don't know if it ever ended the problem, but I remember him doing that. And we also had pet animals as we were growing up, 2 different sheep, and we had 1 goat. And that goat, that got into more trouble. When people would come to visit, that goat would jump up from the ground to the hood of the car, and from there up to the roof of the car. And it would be on the visitor's roof. That didn't go over too well with many people. So we finally got rid of the goat. But it was fun for the period of time we had it. And let's see, what else was I going to say about the goat?
Didn't he eat a chuck once?
Oh, yeah. That was harrowing time for the salesman. My younger brother, Ned, this is when we were grown up, had taken over the occupation of the farm, and he'd ordered some material from this company to repair a roof or something. And Dad wrote a check to pay for the material, and he was talking with the salesman, and Dad had the check in his hand and was just holding his hand down like you would, and everything was peaceful and quiet till the goat came along and grabbed the check and ate it. So the salesman wanted a replacement check, and Dad said, "Oh, no, you had the check." But he was just teasing him. Of course, he wrote him another check to pay for the material. So we had the 2 sheep, not at the same time. And one of the sheep, it was bottle fed. I think that's how we happened to get it. That the mother couldn't nurse it for some reason. And so it was given to us kids. And it took a bottle. And every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, it would come to the back door of our house, and it would paw on the door with its hoof and baa until my grandmother, who lives with us, got up and gave the sheep a bottle of milk, which made him very happy. But one day we got a call from the neighbor. It seems that our sheep had gone to visit their home. So how are we going to get that sheep back home? Well, my brother had an idea. He filled the sheep's bottle, baby bottle, full of milk. He hopped on his bicycle, went up the hill, and then when he saw the sheep, he called it and held the bottle out like this. And the sheep saw the bottle, so she came running toward Bill. So Bill quickly jumped on his bike, and down the hill he went with the sheep right behind him. So we had no trouble getting the sheep home in that situation. So those were some fun times with animals that we had.
How about the bull?
Oh, the bull, you have to be careful when you have a bull. You use them for breeding your herd, but some of them can be very ugly, and you can't trust them. You get near them, they could attack you. And there was an area where a fenced-in area, part of a field, had been fixed for him to keep him within a certain boundary. and that bordered the chicken yard where the chickens were out and where I had to go to feed them. He would come down to the fence and he would paw with his front feet and bellow and send the dirt way up in the air. He was not a nice person or animal. And we had a hired man named Lee. And Lee would see all that going on, the bull bellowing and pawing. And then he'd holler, "Watch out, Mary, he's coming for you." Then I would run as fast as I could go to get into the big chicken house that we had. Dad used to have hundreds of chickens and had an egg business where we would clean the eggs, weigh them, individual eggs, so we knew what size to label them. And then we'd pack them in cardboard boxes, special container, and send them off to New York City or someplace like that. That was one of our cash crops. We were mainly a dairy farm, but we did do some things to help bring in more money without being dependent 100% on the milk from the cows. So we also planted cabbage, and the buyers would come to visit on the farm and they'd want to buy the crop of cabbage. And this gentleman came in to talk to Dad to try to come up with a price that was favorable to both Dad and the other individual. And it was cold out that day. And we had a big iron stove that could burn either wood or coal. And for some reason, this gentleman sat right down on the stove. He sat there for a few minutes. All of a sudden, he yelled and he jumped off that stove in a hurry. He had sat on the stove long enough so that he burned a hole right through his pants. So he got educated about coal and wood burning stoves and your conduct being around them. Those are all memories. Then I remember I used to like to climb up into a maple tree that was right close by, and I'd go up in the tree and read. I like to be up there. And then my sister and I had chores to do in the house. Of course, we had to do dishes and other routine activity. This one day, I guess we were supposed to clear the table and wash the dishes and get that all squared away. And evidently, I was assigned the job of clearing the table. I guess I didn't move fast enough to suit my sister, who was washing the dishes, and she got irritated with me. So she just grabbed one of the plates and she whammed right over my head and broke the plate. That did not feel good. I still remember that. Oh, and I, of course, was a perfect daughter. I didn't get into trouble, did I? Well, one night, Dad had to go out for a meeting, some kind of meeting, so he was gone. And we were all getting ready for bed. And my brother and sister had gone upstairs to get into bed, and I supposedly had tagged along like I was supposed to, but I had this brilliant idea. How about if I sneak under the bed and then when Mom comes in to put her nightgown on, I can say hi. So Mom came in and she sat down on the bed and she started taking off her shoes and socks. And I reached out and I grabbed her ankle. Talk about a holler. She didn't think it was funny. And she told me to get up those stairs. Well, that wasn't a nice thing to do. And don't you great grandchildren do anything like that to your mom. But that scared Mom to death. But we all survived. Let's see.